You are watching KAVU 25 News Now at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Amaya Norman.
And I'm Trenton Whiting.
Earlier today, authorities arrested Jonathan White Jr. of Goliad on a warrant, charging him with an aggravated robbery of the Goliad Circle K, which occurred on Thursday, February 20th. According to the Goliad County Sheriff's Office, White learned about the warrant this morning and voluntarily turned himself in. He is currently being held at the Goliad County Jail. No further details about the case or bond information have been released at this time. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you any updates as they become available.
The Goliad Commissioner's Court is addressing the constable position in a meeting on Monday at 5 p.m. State Representative A.J. Lauterbach is against proposed legislation by the commissioners to remove 2 of the county's 4 constable positions. The court will meet at the Goliad County Courthouse at 127 North Courthouse Square to address the constable position.
There are now 90 confirmed measles cases across West Texas. According to the Texas Department of State Health Services, most of the cases are minor, with 77 cases under the age of 18, and 26 of those cases are under the age of 5. 16 people are currently in the hospital for treatment. The disease has now spread to 7 counties, remaining in rural Gaines County. The next highest county is Terry County with 20 cases. Only 5 of the cases so far are vaccinated. The rest are unvaccinated or their vaccination status is unknown. The state continues to work with local health departments to investigate the outbreak.
That's a sad story about West Texas, but let's go ahead and check in with our weather in Southeast Texas with Trey Mining. So Trey, what's it looking like?
It's been a cold and damp day no matter what today. I tell you what, it was hard to keep warm. It really was, and try to stay dry. But things are changing for the better in my opinion. 43 degrees on the outside currently with cloudy skies. Feel like temperature 39 degrees, that northerly winds less than 10 miles per hour. Humidity still up there with a little bit of light rain. Drizzle continuing to fall. As we begin to move on out now as the low pressure area associated with it moves toward Louisiana. So we'll replace that by drier air and maybe seeing some sunshine for your day tomorrow. How about that? We'll give you the details on that coming up a little bit later on in my full forecast. Back to you.
Thank you, Trey. A deadly shooting occurred at UPMC Memorial Hospital in York, Pennsylvania, west of Philadelphia. A suspect armed with a handgun and zip ties took staff hostage in the ICU, shooting a doctor and nurse and custodian. The suspect was killed by officers, but a West York officer was fatally shot.
Tonight, 1 police officer is dead and several others are injured after a gunman stormed a local hospital in Pennsylvania.
And be advised, we have 2 officers hit by gunfire.
According to officials, the gunman, Diogenes Archangel Ortiz, entered UPMC Hospital in York, Pennsylvania around 10:30 a.m., armed with a handgun and zip ties.
He went straight to the ICU, and in the ICU, this individual went and held hostage members of the UPMC staff.
Adding, Ortiz tied the hands of 1 hospital staff member behind her back as police responded to the scene.
The individual was holding at gunpoint a member of the UPMC staff and ordered the police to get back to behind the doors.
Authorities say Ortiz fired his gun, striking a doctor, nurse, and custodian. As police officers attempted to engage Ortiz, he entered the hallway holding the hostage at gunpoint. An intense firefight ensued, and Ortiz was struck and killed. 3 officers were also hit. Officer Andrew Duarte, a law enforcement veteran, was killed. The shooting sending shockwaves through this quiet community.
The act of extraordinary bravery and courage by the healthcare workers here, by the law enforcement professionals. I know that because of their work, lives were saved today here at UPMC Memorial.
The Vatican says Pope Francis' health remains in critical condition.
An update today said the Pope experienced a severe asthmatic respiratory crisis this morning, requiring high-flow oxygen therapy. Additionally, blood tests also showed plateopenia associated with anemia, which required the administration of hemotransfusions. The Vatican said the Holy Father continues to be alert and spent the day in an armchair, although he was in more pain than yesterday. His prognosis remains, quote, reserved. A local organization is celebrating Black History today with an event at Calhoun High School. Performers showed displays of culture, traditions from Africa and Black America to pass down Black history. The Wilkins Alumni Association held door prizes, refreshments, and several presentations and performances showing the importance of Black culture and history. Several speakers talked about the mission for the next generation to keep the history of their elders alive.
It's all about keeping the legacy moving. Don't let our forefathers, foremothers, don't let the people who paved the way for us, don't let them die in vain. Continue to work. Don't just lay back and just let things happen.
The association is in honor of the late Alice O. Crawford, otherwise known as Mrs. Wilkins, through marriage. She became a teacher at 16 and later principal of a school that took her namesake, Wilkins High School. Mrs. Wilkins died in 1942, but her legacy lives through this annual event, as well as the students and teachers who know her as the mother of Black education in Calhoun County.
And St. Peter's Baptist Church held a Black History celebration of their own with the Gospel Explosion, a free event hosted by Golden Crescent Urban Chamber of Commerce. The event featured visits from Lifetime Achievements Award honorees, former state representative Jenny Morrison, and former city council member Jim Wyatt. Charles O'Neill was the keynote speaker. O'Neill is the chairman of the Texas Association of African American Chamber of Commerce. He spoke on the modern difficulties for Black people and urged them to act to create a change for Black people and support Black businesses.
Think you can call this year's Academy Award winners? Step into the spotlight and predict the Oscars for your chance to win a gift card bundle from Peter Piper Pizza. Visit crossroadstoday.com to submit your predictions.
Now that leads us to your viewer poll for tonight. Which news topic concerns you the most for today? Global elections and political shifts, economic inflation and cost of living, climate change and environmental policies, crime rates and public safety. And so far that is in the lead at 66% is economic inflation and cost of living, which I totally do agree.
Absolutely.
Agree with that. Well, you still have time to participate. You can always visit our website at crossroadstoday.com/vote.
The Trump administration last week approved plans for a second deepwater oil loading terminal off the Texas coast, opening another door for continued long-term growth in American crude production and exports. To read this full Texas Tribune article, visit our website at crossroadstoday.com.
And for more on today's news story, come to crossroadstoday.com. Don't forget to submit your birthday wishes. Carolina Strain and Parker Cox will read them live on 25 News Now Sunrise. You can also submit a local military hero so we can recognize them. Coming up, a major shakeup in the federal government as the layoffs continues.
Beginning to see the light rain move on to the east with time here. Beginning to clear out west. Does that mean sunshine for your day tomorrow? Could be. Take a look coming up in your forecast.
President Trump ousted several senior military leaders, including the chairman of Chief of Staffs on Friday.
The shakeup comes as the Pentagon plans to lay off thousands and the FAA faces cuts too. The frustration with Trump is growing. Here's ABC's Selena Wang with the latest.
In an unprecedented move, President Trump firing the nation's top military leader, General C.Q. Brown, ousted from his position as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Several other senior leaders also fired, including Lisa Franchetti, the first woman to serve as the Navy's top admiral. Brown was nominated by Trump in his first term, but has come under fire as Trump aims to rid the military of leaders who support diversity and equity, as Brown and some of the others who were fired have done. The president nominating Dan Kane to be Brown's replacement, a retired three-star general who has never served in a four-star position. All of this comes as the Pentagon prepares to lay off 5,400 civilian workers beginning next week in the first round of cuts that could total tens of thousands, as the Pentagon aims to cut between 5 and 8% of its civilian workforce. Layoffs also hitting the Federal Aviation Administration. More than 100 probationary employees have been terminated, including those that produce air traffic navigation maps. Sources tell ABC News.
We want to make government smaller, more efficient.
President Trump insists these cuts are making the government more efficient, but voters across the country are pushing back. In a district near Atlanta, voters confronting Republican Congressman Rich McCormick.
The people would like to know what you, Congressman, and your fellow congressmen are going to do to rein in the megalomaniac in the White House.
GOP Representative Tracy Mann facing pushback in Colby, Kansas.
Is there anything that Trump and Eli could do that you would not support? I'm sure. Oh, tell me.
And polls show voters are unhappy with Trump's handling of one of their top issues, inflation, and his campaign promise to bring down prices on day one. Selena Wang, ABC News, Washington.
President Trump spoke with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Saturday ahead of a Group of 7 meeting. They discussed the Russia-Ukraine war, with Trudeau calling for an end to the conflict. He also updated Trump on efforts to curb fentanyl trafficking at the U.S.-Canada border.
Now, negotiations between the U.S. and Ukraine continues over its war with Russia. The Trump administration is demanding access to Ukraine's valuable natural resources as payments for military aid. And tonight, new details emerge about a counter proposal from Ukraine.
Tonight, President Zelensky under intense pressure, not just from Vladimir Putin, but President Trump. As the war in Ukraine approaches its 3rd anniversary, Ukraine and the US are locked in tense negotiations over a deal that would give the US access to Ukraine's valuable resources. The latest draft would require Ukraine to pay $500 billion to the US, paid for by taking 50% of revenues from much of Ukraine's natural resources forever, including oil and gas, as well as ports and other infrastructure. Trump saying it's back pay for the billions in military aid sent to Ukraine.
We're going to get our money back because it's not fair. It's just not fair.
The US sent an estimated $119 billion in aid to Ukraine since 2022. The amount Trump is asking for is 5 times more. Zelensky first suggested a rare earths deal, but so far he is refusing to sign because the agreement promises no security guarantees in return. Many Ukrainians outraged by the deal, feeling it extorts their stricken country.
A senior Ukrainian official has told us tonight that Ukraine has offered to pay $100 billion to the US, but the same official has told us that President Zelensky will never sign a deal that, quote, robs the country with zero security guarantees. Patrick Reevell, ABC News, Kyiv.
Sources tell CNN that newly appointed FBI Director Kash Patel will also serve as acting director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives.
There are speculations President Trump may merge parts of the ATF with the FBI, an idea even considered by Democrats during Biden's vice presidency to address mass shooting. Hamas released 6 hostages Saturday, the last living ones under phase 1 of the ceasefire. However, some hostages, including one American, remains, and their release is still uncertain under phase 2, as terms needs to be negotiated. Jen Sullivan reports.
Tal Shoham smiling and waving, now a free man after being held captive by Hamas for 505 days. Crowds erupting into cheers. His family watching his release on a screen. Shoham, now 40, was 38 when he was kidnapped by Hamas He's one of 6 hostages Hamas released Saturday, the last living hostages to be released in the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire deal, in exchange for more than 600 Palestinian prisoners and detainees.
Both sides really had a vested interest in this working.
Family members running to released hostage Omar Shem Tov, emotionally hugging. Of the 6 men released Saturday, 2 of them had been held captive by Hamas for about a decade. Their families celebrating. In Tel Aviv, crowds watching the broadcast of hostages turned over to the Red Cross. But there are still more hostages waiting to be released, like Idan Alexander, the last American hostage alive.
I'm just hoping that he's staying strong and surviving, and his day will come.
Alexander's release would be part of phase 2, but there's uncertainty on whether that phase will actually happen. One Israeli journalist says a lot depends on the Trump administration's influence to uphold the deal.
They must be ready to use their leverage and to put pressure on Netanyahu.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. Stream our daily newscasts and much more using your connected TV. Just download Crossroads Today Plus on your Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or Android TV. Just search Crossroads Today Plus.
It was definitely a cold and wet day today. A high today was only 43 degrees, low 37 degrees. Thankfully, it was above freezing on both ends with a little bit of rain, less than a quarter of an inch. It felt like more than that, though, but still under for the February month and for the year so far. Catching up a little bit on it today. Any more rain headed our way? What about any more cold weather? We're seeing some warmer weather, though. Give you the details coming up next in the forecast. Good Saturday evening, everyone. Trey Mining here. And temperature is starting off well in the 40s currently and staying that way through the majority of the night, not falling too much more than they are right now thanks to the cloud cover in place. And a little bit of light rain and drizzle in and around the area moving to the east. But notice by the time we get to your day tomorrow, temperature is much warmer. 61 degrees by 3 o'clock. Oh yeah, we'll take that compared to the 40s we had today and the chilly weather we have been experiencing. So we're getting better with the temperatures, in my opinion, warmer that is. Still lows in the 40s though in the overnight, at least for the time being. Highs tomorrow. This is for tomorrow. 61 degrees in Victoria. Cool air headed toward the east. 55 degrees still in Houston, but even colder points to the east and there toward Louisiana. But 60s from Corpus Christi, 70s, almost maybe getting near 80 degrees in Del Rio with that return flow off the Gulf and the warm and humid conditions begin to return again to the South Texas area. Take a look at the future clouds and radar. Seeing the rain begin to move further to the east with time. By the time we get to 5 a.m. on Sunday, should be along the coast, maybe a few lingering rain showers, mostly from El Campo eastward. And the clouds beginning to break as you see towards San Antonio by that time. And then by the time we get to about noontime, a little bit after that, I think we'll see some sunny conditions in the Crossroads area. Kind of in the mix of those clouds, kind of partly cloudy overall. More sun as we get later in the day. And that goes for you in Cuero, starting off with cloudy skies, maybe a few little drizzles there in the early morning hours. And then 54 degrees by 12 noon, 60 degrees by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, with the sun making its appearance. Thankful for that. With northerly winds still about 10 miles per hour. Port Lavaca, starting off with cloudy skies in the morning time, a few little drizzles out there, lasting to about 12 noon or so. The daytime high about 60 degrees or so by 3 p.m. hour, northerly winds near 10 miles per hour. So keeping that cool feel to the air, but gradually getting warmer in time. Victoria, cloudy skies in the morning time, a little bit of light drizzle remaining early in the morning time. And the sun breaks out, partly cloudy skies, and maybe even possibly totally sunny by 6 p.m. with highs about 60 degrees, so definitely feeling on the warmer side. We'll take that, improving conditions overall. So look at the temperatures for the week. 61 degrees by your day on Sunday, and then 70s near 80 degrees by the afternoon time. Tuesday, Wednesday, how about that? Definitely warmer by then. Weak front comes in by Thursday, giving us a little bit of a rain shower chance, knocking our temperatures down a little bit, but still way above 70 degrees lasting through the rest of the time period. Through your day Friday and Saturday, lows in the 40s and 50s, so cool in the morning times, but nice short sleeve weather for the time being, beginning really Monday through about Saturday or so. So get out there and enjoy that with the sunshine returning. And take a look at this right here. This is the QR code. Get your smartphone, scan the code. See right there on your screen. That'll take you to a web page. You can download our app. News, weather, and sports at your fingertips. Very easy, convenient, free of charge to have on your phone. Be connected with us. All the news, weather, and sports you need to know in the Crossroads right there in your hand on your phone. And it's time for sports now with Mr. Ray Robinson.
Thank you, Trey. We're recapping some Friday night playoff hoops from the girls in Cuero and Tidehaven. See how Cuero ISD is preparing this Tuesday and more in sports. Well, Crossroads, the season for high school hoops isn't over just yet. The Lady Gobblers are in the middle of an historic season after beating Navarro, final score 41-23 in the regional finals. The Gobblers are preparing to take on Bridge City. This will be going down in the city of Katy. This big state semi-matchup will be at Merrill Center this upcoming Tuesday. Cuero ISD just announced early today that they will release students at school at 12:30 p.m. to make the drive. So Crossroads, let's prepare to go down to Katy. Stay tuned on KAVU or myself. Max will keep you guys informed until then. And they had just updated that the tip-off is actually going to be at 6 p.m. So don't pay attention to that 5:30. They just updated it and said that it will be at 6 p.m. Another Crossroads team that was in action last night, and it's still worth mentioning, is the Tidehaven Tigerettes. A tough battle last night, but let's not question the effort. Tidehaven rallied in the fourth quarter after being down as much as 10, and junior Naomi Alabita just had a great game, finishing the job on fast breaks and facilitating. Their season ends against Jourdanton, final score 42-36. But it was a job well done covering this team. I had fun covering them, talking to them all season long, and I'm sure we'll see some familiar faces in their All-District awards. And speaking of All-District honors, the Industrial Cobras, another team we've seen in action this past season, this past basketball season, was recognized in their district. Desiree Evans was first team All-District. She averaged 18 points while shooting 51% from the field on 4 blocks this past season. Carly Stanish was also first team All-District. She averaged 9 points, 3 assists, 7 rebounds, and 4 blocks as well. But get this, these girls wasn't just dominating on the hardwood. The same could be said in the books as well, because 100% of varsity players all made academic district this season. So big congratulations to those ladies. The city of Victoria continues to be represented in competitive swimming. The West girls went to state last night and unfortunately wasn't able to make the finals after dropping in time. But on the east side, the lone student in Nico Turner made it to the finals in both events. He finished 5th and 6th in the 100-yard freestyle and 5th in the 100-yard backstroke. Big congratulations to Nico and all Victoria schools in making the city proud. And some breaking news regarding the San Antonio Spurs. They just announced that head coach Greg Popovich will not return to the team this season. He's expected to not return. His future with the team still remains uncertain. Remember, Coach Popovich suffered a stroke back in November, and it was ruled a mild one, which comes with a slow recovery process. The Spurs might be in the middle of a lost season for the franchise after trading for De'Aaron Fox from the Sacramento Kings, and they just announced that Victor Wembanyama has been ruled out for the season too after suffering a blood clot to the shoulder. And continue the conversation about the NBA. Last time we talked about the Houston Rockets, they were in the battle for the #2 seed in the Western Conference. But since then, they've had some injuries with Alfred Şengün and Fred VanVleet, and they found themselves in the 4th seed, just 4 games behind to still reach the #2 spot. And things to look to be on the bright side. They had a close game against the Timberwolves last night, and they won. And they should have easy competition against the Utah Jazz, but I don't think that's the case. The current score is 96-95. So we're still rooting for you guys, Rockets. But that does it for your sports. Amaya and Trenton.
Well, thank you, Ray. Now, Dunkin' is removing the extra charge for plant-based milk and coffee. We'll have all that and more coming up. Good news for people who can't tolerate or just don't like dairy. It won't cost extra to get plant-based milk in your coffee at Dunkin's anymore. The restaurant chain says the new pricing will start March 5th. A spokesperson said the policy change was guided by guest feedback, but there is likely a lot more to the decision. First, competitors like Starbucks, Dutch Bros, Tim Hortons, and Scooters already made the change. Also, a class action lawsuit accused Dunkin's of discrimination against people with milk allergies or lactose intolerance. That suit says non-dairy alternatives don't cost Dunkin' anymore, and it profits off of charging customers more for it. A court sided with the Dunkin's last May, but the plaintiffs filed an amended complaint in December. That case is still pending.
Wow, they got sued for their coffee. Where have I heard that before? I don't know.
I can think of at least one case.
At least one case.
So, is the case, I guess it should be dismissed if they're now going to stop charging for plant-based, right? So
I guess so.
I guess so. I don't know. I mean,
there's no telling. I don't go to Dunkin'.
Me neither, yeah.
Sure, how's it what they're going to be looking for?
I'll give you a no-charge forecast on this one. I'll tell you what.
Charge.
We already paid for it.
Already paid for it. With that rain and cold weather today, it's pretty much out of here, coming up every day tomorrow. Maybe a few light showers on the coast early toward Port Lavaca early in the morning time. Then I think we'll see some sunshine for your day tomorrow and staying that way majority of the week coming up. Look at the highs, almost near 80 degrees midweek. So how about that?
Yeah. So we see that the weather is going to get back warm again for Texas.
Yay.
Like we said,
I
Texas is known
that.
for the sun and the warming.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you.
Yeah, take care. We'll see you on Sunday for 25 News Now Weekend at 5:30. Have a good night.